today's show off with some positive news. I've vented a bit over the past couple weeks about the changes being ramrodded down the throat of the real estate industry by the government, and I also begged and pleaded with you all to not be complacent and to fight back or join a group that will fight back for you. And well, last week, we started to see some of these groups actually fight back.
Apparently, we were heard, and several of the trade groups took up or joined the fight. One such group being the MBA, or the Mortgage Bankers Association.
Yep, David Stevens, the CEO and president, said enough is enough and scolded policymakers, saying,
access to the credit needed to drive this economy is being stifled by government decisions that are an overreaction to events of 5 years ago. He also stated policymakers all over town have been making hundreds of policy decisions to clamp down on risk. Decisions that may make sense in isolation, but in the aggregate are choking off credit.
Or in other words, these rules sound so good to you all when you're up in your ivory towers making them, but when you implement them in the real world, they make no freaking sense. Now let me keep preaching because this is for all you loan officers and realtors that had a deal blow up due to these ridiculous guidelines. Can I get an amen?
David Stevens continues saying, more than 5 years after the crisis, countless innocent would-be borrowers are still being caught in the aftermath. All because Washington won't trust lenders to make fact-based credit decisions without countless strings attached and second-guessing.
He ends up with the best and most important comment of all, stating the overcorrection and conflicting policies that continue to come out of Washington are threatening not just this market, but threatening the overall recovery.
He finishes saying, we are nearing a tipping point, and if we don't get policies right, he said, we won't be able to return to a time when average Americans have a solid prospect for home ownership. While we may end up creating a perfectly risk-free, safe, and sound housing finance system, it might be one built for those who least need the help.
This is exactly right, and we need more people screaming this from the rooftops. Now to get real, some say loan officers and realtors are cheap, not me, just some, and won't put their money where their mouth is. Now I don't know if that is true, but I do know that none of us will have money to put where our mouth is if we don't jump on board and push back on these crazy policies.
I know you feel like you can't do anything individually, but we can if we unify our voices and join or continue to give to our trade groups.
They will fight for us. We just simply need more participation. The MBA is right. Enough is enough, and heck, enough was enough 2 years ago. Now, let's get to 2014.
Now this is also a hot topic as many of you have already experienced a slowdown of sorts.
Yep, realtors and loan officers alike have seen their banner years come to a screeching halt in September and October, but what does this mean for 2014? Is this an anomaly? Or is this a long-term trend?
The RE Source's official stance? It's the new norm, and this is why we say this, and many support this thought and projection as well, so you don't have to take our word for it. 2014 is going to slow down a bit. It won't be a crash, but rather a long-term taper. And here's why we say this.
For loan officers, well, you already know this, but refinance activity is all but gone, baby, gone, and in 2014, it will get only worse. We should see, check this out, we should see 60% fewer refinance opportunities in 2014, and overall we should see about 30% less mortgage originations next year compared to 2013. Now that's a huge drop in originations and an even bigger drop in refinance activity.
How about you realtors? Well, here's where the RE Source and the professionals differ. NAR and the MBA both see purchase activity picking up. MBA says purchase activity should increase 9% in 2014, and NAR agrees and released their infographic projecting that both new and existing homes will increase in both sales and median home price.
Now I agree that LOs will slow down a bit in 2014. That's for sure, it's basically a done deal. But realtors, I'm not so sure I agree with NAR and MBA and the other projections. I would venture to say that we will see activity very similar to 2013 with maybe a small increase in sales and maybe a small increase in median price. Now the reason behind this thought is this.
The new QM guidelines are a wild card, and while the NAR and MBA projections account for the QM wild card, we don't think they account for it enough.
If this thing gets rolled out January 1 like it's supposed to be, it will have a major impact on loan officers, realtors, and home buyers. Couple the QM mess with higher interest rates, slower REO activity, and fewer move-up buyers, and you get a recipe for what? Slower year.
We don't think we'll see the increases that NAR and MBA predict for the realtors, but that doesn't mean the market's going to crash, just rather slowly taper.
How do you guys see 2014 shaping up? Better? Worse? Maybe the same? And why? Let us know down below. And hey guys, either way, keep your head down and your creativity up, and it won't matter what the rest of the market is doing. See you guys next week.